radio at Freedom's Lips, and this is April 5th, 2016. Well, tonight I have a really special guest for you, and it's Native Activist Aonsin Pethakhon, Blue Thunder, Lenape, Delaware, from Delaware Nation, Anadarkoa, and that is a mouthful to say. Okay. And he's going to talk about a lot of issues that's going on with the Native American Indians. And I had some interesting things happen with him already, and I haven't even brought him on this program. I do another radio show on Friday nights from midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to let you guys be the judge. You tell me if this is censorship or not, okay? Well, the day that Blue Thunder was going to be on my show that night, well, sometime during the day, that day, the radio station went down, and I heard by lightning. And, you know, you might think, oh, God, this little crazy lightning taking out a station. Well, why not? I've actually had it be a very clear day, and then all of a sudden, right at the time I'm supposed to do my radio show, there's an incredible thunderstorm, real heavy, and it knocks my internet out. So, you know, so I didn't think, you know, well, maybe, okay, something normal with the weather happened to knock out the radio station. Okay, all right. Now, but then 10 minutes before the show was to start, Blue Thunder's Mac went out. And, you know, he's supposed to have really, really good protection on that. And then he couldn't call out on his phone. Coincidence? Yeah, I don't think so. You know, censorship is censorship, and it's happening all over. So, of course, I invited to come on again, and, you know, when they do that, I mean, they're so stupid, the censors. All it's doing is bringing up to me that it's something very important and knowledge that needs to be heard. And I make sure that not only is it heard, it's heard a few times. So, you know, I'm going to be bringing Blue Thunder, with his permission, of course, back on a few times to talk about Native issues. If you want to call that blowback to the censors, well, okay. And now, before, you know, while we're waiting for Blue Thunder to call in, I want to have a word with the censors. And I'm sure you guys are always new, you know, and you're always making bad decisions, you know, like censoring me and other people. And I bet you really don't understand the law of karma, do ya? So whoever is listening to this show, I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm going to help you remember what karma means, okay? So if you do mess with the show at all, as they say, karma is a bitch. I just simply go to the karmic board and ask them if it's for your highest good, that you get a karmic return now, if they would allow it. And you know what? They said yes. Well, they are my peers, so what can I say? And then I asked him, karmic board, if it's for this person's highest good, for the censor's highest good, that his karmic return is over 100,000-fold because he really needs to, or she needs to learn that lesson. Can it be done? And they said, if it's for their highest good, oh, hell yes, consider it done. I said they're my friends, right? Sucks to be you right now. So now what does it mean to have your karmic return come back to you? Well, in your case, this is a good possibility, okay? Your life is basically going to turn to crap. And if you understand what Murphy's Law is, if it can go wrong, it will. Kind of like living that perpetually, Mercury in retrograde kind of stuff. And what that means is everything you touch would probably fall apart. All your electrical, all your communication equipment, everything you drive and ride and walk in, and your plans fall apart. It's really not pretty. Okay. Now, that's just part of it. And if you haven't been in tune with the elemental kingdom, if you've really been screwing them over, I invite them in to come play. And I said, I invite the bees and the ants and the wasps and the snakes and the fleas and the mites to all come in and infest everything you have. Infest your workplace, your computers, your buildings, your homes. And then it gets better. You're actually going to see me in dream state. And when you see me when you're dreaming, oh my God, I am just going to be the most beautiful thing on earth you've ever seen. I'm going to have this gorgeous dress all the way down to the floor. And it just sparkles and it turns to different colors and it really dazzles you, you know. And then my hair goes all the way down, not quite to the floor, because you don't want to get it dirty. And it's just gorgeous. And just about then when you say, oh my God, this is the most beautiful woman on the planet, my hair is going to shapeshift into snakes. And you're going to run like the wind. And it doesn't matter how fast you run or where you hide. My snakes will find you because they can shapeshift too. So they can get really big or really, really tiny and squeeze into anything, and they will bite you. And when they do, their venom is so strong, you're going to turn into a human. Yeah, And then it gets better. The venom is so strong that it's going to affect all your generations going backwards and forwards, hundreds of thousands of years, and they're going to turn human. I mean, isn't this the best? Okay, all right. Now that's for you censors. And, you know, I'm sure the ones that aren't around now, and if they, you know, maybe they're not connecting the dots on why they're not around because of karma. And if you're still in touch with them, you might want to give them a heads up and a clue. So they might, you know, decide that they want to get another job elsewhere or do something really, really interesting like that. Hold on. Hello. Hi, can you call the station?
Yeah.
Do you have that number? Please say yes.
Yes, I got that number. 504 number?
No. It's 317. Oh, God.
Give me the number now.
Oh,
310.
okay.
310.
What? 310.
421.
You never gave me this one. I've got the other one.
310.
421.
421.
4053.
4053.
4053?
Yes.
4053. 421 310.
No.
I got this.
No.
Okay, well, let me kick you off of here so I can call it.
It should be 310 first, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
421 4053.
Okay. All right.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Well, that was my guest, and he will call in like right now. Okay. Well, that's kind of like what Mercury in retrograde is. Kind of get it almost, and you got it almost, but not quite. So there's been a lot of censorship, and I also want to give you a heads up that if you're ever thinking of putting that computer program antivirusware called Avast into your computer, don't do it. I had somebody put it into my computer, and when we went to remove it, it totally crashed the computer. I mean, wiped it out. Now, I was able to pull out all my information, and it took an expert to, you know, really totally reprogram it. So stay away from that program, Avast. Welcome, Blue Thunder, to the show. Aloha.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We are live
I
on
think you ought
air.
to be heard. Okay.
Pardon? Well, you're a Native activist, and pronounce all the words for me.
What's that, dear?
I want you to pronounce the words Aonsin, your name.
Oh, my name. It's my name. My name is Aonsin Pethakhon. It means blue thunder.
Yeah,
the tradition was so I say Lenape, not Delaware. You know, I don't have a cattle card. But go ahead.
Oh, I'm just reading what you wrote. So, yeah, I just pulled it off of there.
Here, I'll help you. If you listen to me, I'll help you say the word. Say ah. Ah. On scent. On scent. Put it all together. There you go. Yeah. And then Pethakhon, which you say it like you're thunder. That's what the word is. So you give it that forcefulness.
Pethakhon.
I'm an old time Lenape. I'm not the modern day Delaware. I don't carry a card to Delaware Nation. My grandfather and I follow him, their cattle cards. You know, I'm not a piece of meat. So where would you like to start tonight?
Well, let me just say that, you've been around. You've been an activist for a long, long time, correct?
Yeah, I'm in over 40 years of it, since I've been about 13, 14.
Okay. Well, where I thought I would really like to talk about first, and it's because I've been talking a lot. Everybody knows what's going on in Flint, Michigan with the drinking water and everybody having to drink lead water and the governor just ignoring it all. And I've also been adding, what's been happening on the Navajo reservations with their water supply. And,
there's a big difference, though. There's a big difference, Cathy, between Flint, Michigan and what happened on the Navajo reservation or what happened on Pine Ridge Reservation. Okay? In the Navajo's case, the EPA released an old gold mine. It had arsenic and everything, and they polluted the main river that supplies them with their water. You got to figure 3/4 of the Navajo reservation has to get their water elsewhere, either delivered or they go and fill tanks themselves. They have no running water. But their main source of water got polluted by EPA. Nobody did anything because they're Indians. Okay? But Flint, Michigan went absolutely crazy because it was all in a black neighborhood. See, we're like the forgotten people in this country. The fact that we're killed more by police than blacks. And that's a statistic, fact. But you never hear about it on national radio or national TV or news, anything. You don't see us.
No, not at all. That's why I brought you on. I want your voice to be heard. Our main page is Twitter. That's where we're mainly at, is Twitter, at American Indian 8. Then we have our own social network, American Indians and Friends.com. And we're not a fluff page. Fluff pages mostly are run by non-natives with nothing but pretty pictures. There's very few sites out there that actually puts things in your face and tells you the truth. We talk about the rape of our women and all this other kind of stuff people wouldn't expect to see. But we put it there, and we put it sometimes in your face. Well, let's get back to the water supply, okay?
Right.
Because I really, really think it's important. Now, not only is the water, it's got arsenic in it, but it's also radioactive, is it not?
Anything's possible, but like in Flint, Michigan, it's all because of the lead, because all the piping system is made out of lead. But see, we always talk about these places that have bad water. And Flint's not the only one. There's many other cities here. I mean, we even found them in Ohio, and there's other places where they found drinking water systems of cities are really bad. But nobody talks about how for hundreds of years. I mean, you got to figure Pine Ridge Reservation, most of their wells are poisoned. They're poisoned by uranium. The uranium mining they were doing there on Pine Ridge. So this water's been like this for decades. And but nobody ever talks about it. That's the thing. This stuff's been going on for years on the reservations. but nobody ever talks about it.
Now, one of the things didn't the EPA offer to do was to haul in water, and then what kind of tanks did they haul them in?
Well, yeah, they brought them in. They told the Navajo Nation, oops, we accidentally let this mine waste loose, but hey, we'll get you water. So they bring it down in oily fracking tanks. You could actually put your hand in the top where it was filled and actually pull your hand back and actually have oil on it. That's what they sent the Navajos. Hey, we poisoned your water, but hey, here's some more poison water for you. And the EPA was never held liable for any of it.
Oh, no.
We're poisoning the river because the river was poisoned for years. It's no longer its beautiful color. It's this nasty looking, excuse my French, shit yellow. And it's horrible. It used to be a beautiful kayaking spot. It's all gone right now. It'll be decades before it ever comes back.
You can't eat the fish out of there, can you?
But the big thing was the EPA didn't. Now, if it had been white ranchers that owned that land along that river, it would have never happened. Okay? But because it was Indians, okay, we'll try it. If we flood the river, oh well, it's just Indians. And that's the attitude in this country. This country's never accepted that this country was built on two things. Well, they have kind of in a way. They've embraced slavery. But the other way this country was started, slavery and the genocide of the natives. It's that simple, and it still goes on today. I mean, we have the highest unemployment, the highest youth suicide, the highest rape of our women, mostly by non-natives, getting away with this stuff. Because we fall, even any reservation in anywhere in the United States does not fall under the jurisdiction of that state. They fall under federal law, not state law. Go ahead.
Well, they give you kind of an autonomy, but you don't have it at all, do you? You have to ask for permission to do everything, don't you?
Well, the thing is, when it comes to a reservation, reservations can make decisions for themselves, but then the BIA will oversee it, which is the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which we are the only race in the United States that actually has a government bureau based on race to oversee our affairs. Then after the BIA is done messing around, then it goes to Congress, because Congress has final say on all Indians. They believe in this thing they call preliminary power. But they don't have any of this.
So what is preliminary power?
Plenary. Plenary, I think is how it's spelled. Plenary power. And that's what you can look it up, but I mean, it basically says Congress has all say on anything to do with Indians. I mean, we're the only race in this country that has to carry a card to say we're Indians. No other race in this country has to carry a card. Why should we have to? But we still do in this modern day and age. I refuse to carry it. I'm not a piece of meat. I'm not cattle. Because you get a number. They give you a number. And register the number. It's like being a cattle, given a number. And they originally put the Indians on these places where they thought were no good. Then suddenly, as the time goes, they find out, wow, they got uranium, other minerals that we need, coal. I mean, look what coal's done to the Navajos. It's destroyed the Navajo land, Peabody mine and all that. Then the council just went and bought the mine for $85 million. Won't disclose the rate of that money because that money is actually it's being loaned by the mining company to buy the mine. But the council allowed a provision within the buyout that said that the present mine was neither responsible for anything before, now, or after that may have happened in any kind of ecological thing. So yeah, our councils are horrible.
But that's pretty common. I hate to say it because there's no comprehensive law at all requiring cleanup of any abandoned uranium mines.
See what most people don't understand? What laws apply to people of the United States don't apply to Indians. We fall under Indian law. We're a whole different group. We don't fall anywhere underneath the American. You know, an Indian can get arrested anywhere. Once they know he's actually an American Indian, he actually falls under federal law. It's a whole different ballgame. You know, out west, the majority of prisoners are Native. You know, I mean, it's you got towns like Rapid City that are just outright racist. You know, other places like Custer County in Oklahoma. I mean, you know, they killed Maha Vist. The police did. Shot him 6 times. And the last 7th one was in the back of his head and got medals for it. So they're still getting medals for killing Indians in certain places.
You know, it's very sad, but...
Oh, you did? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm kind of speechless after that.
You know,
let me ask you, and I hate to keep getting back to the water, but how has the cancer rate gone up for the Navajo since this happened? Has anybody ever tracked it? Does the government give a rat's ass?
If you really want to understand the outright genocide by the United States government, read a book called Yellow Dirt. Okay? Yellow dirt is what the Navajo call uranium. Now, on the Navajo reservation, they began to mine uranium there, not telling the Navajos what they were doing. They began doing that in 1942 began, and they continued to mine uranium up to like into the early 80s. Never telling the Navajos, because at the time, you know, the uranium was new. So they were testing the Navajo to see how sick they were. And these folks built their homes of the yellow cake. And yeah, it's decades now of, you know, child development, you know, adult development. I mean, yeah, it's all affected everybody. High rates of cancer, you know, diabetes, metabolic, you know, all kinds of things. And it's been this way for decades. You've got to figure since 1942.
Do you communicate with the Aboriginal folk in Australia? Because they're kind of going through the same thing with their uranium mines.
Yeah, what they're doing down there is they're just basically outright outlawing. They're basically moving them out of their community so they can mine. And they have no choice. The Aboriginals have no choice. When the Australian government comes to their community and says, you're leaving, they're leaving. And they've been there for centuries.
Oh,
you know,
more than, they're 25,000 years they've been there.
Oh, much longer, much longer. You got to figure us Lenape have been around for 50,000 or more. So those people have been around for a long, long time.
Wow. Well, I knew it was long. Aren't they the oldest living race on the planet, right? The oldest indigenous tribe?
Yeah. The Aboriginals are the oldest on the planet. But, so, you know, you got Cook, who's made a hero, who came in and basically invaded it and killed any Aboriginal who didn't want to say, yes, sir.
Oh, then he came to Hawaii and did the same thing.
Well, Hawaii was taken over by the United States under Marine assault.
Yeah, well, Captain Cook came here, and then he did end up getting killed. And, you know, Hawaii is definitely an occupied country. Absolutely. Yeah, it has been for a long time. But see, yeah,
the Hawaiians do not want to fall under the BIA.
Now, when you say fall under the BIA, what are you talking about? Explain, please.
They would be like us. They would be under the Bureau of Indian Affairs with final says by the Congress. That's what the U.S. wants to do. They want to make the Hawaiians a native tribe. Yeah, that's what they want to do.
Oh, well, that is not a real thing, and the Hawaiians are not Native American. They are unto themselves, as you are. Right.
They're their own country, just like we were. We just got invaded. That's all.
Well, so did they.
Yeah, but it continues today, though, Kathy.
What, the invasion?
The United States, every single policy of the United States has been the genocide of the American Indian. I mean, you look at Pine Ridge, okay? Now, Pine Ridge is one of 9 districts. What's left of the Great Sioux Nation, which covered 4 states plus part of 5. It was supposed to be forever, according to the 1868 Laramie Treaty. Gave them the Black Hills and everything. It's the second poorest place in America. They have over $8 billion in trust funds. That the government, finally, the Supreme Court said, yes, your land was taken. Here's $8 million, shut up. And it turns in now it's like $8 billion. But the Lakota won't take it. They want their Black Hills. They want Pahasapa. So in that, when I was talking about councils earlier, the guy who heads their council, his name's John Yellowbird Steele. He is actually comes from Cheyenne River. He's not even Ogallala, from my understanding, from what I'm being told by people there. And they use a fear and poverty thing to keep everybody in line. You figure the last election, only 300 people voted. There's near 40,000 Ogallala. You only got 300 votes. That's the kind of control that the councils have over the people. Wow. So the poverty there is extreme, serious extreme. So they give out a little bit of money to the people. And those that speak up, they take the money from them. This may be the difference of getting through winter and not being cold, needing propane, which we do every year. You know, we do Operation Warm Winter, Pine Ridge, which is through a grandmother in Porcupine, unseat Marner, Young Bear. And, you know, we try to pay electric and propane every year. We raise money for that. So, yeah, it's hard to get anything from your councils. And it's all set up by the United States. See, it's not traditional. Councils are, the way that the councils are set up are not traditional. They were set up by the United States.
It's like a puppet government, so to speak, yes?
Yeah, puppet government. That'd be a good word.
What?
Yeah, I can talk your ear off. So you better get in there.
Well, that's all right. That's why I brought you on. They would rather listen to you talk than to me.
Well, I have a lot of knowledge in my head. I'm 55, going on 56 years old. I've been fighting this stuff as a blood native myself for over 40 years. And I've never seen anything change. And it hurts. You know, you sit back with this mascot thing and everybody says, oh, it's not a big deal. You guys got alcoholism, poverty, all this other stuff going on. But yeah, you've got to look at it that may be so minute to some people, but that little minute, okay, if you allow that little minute, then it can, whatever else they do doesn't matter. You know, and they do it all the time. Recently, the national, it was a bill to pay the military. National Authorization Defense Fund. Well, McCain slipped in a rider, which is around midnight of that day. And they're called riders, and there's nothing you can do to take them out. Once it gets past midnight, they're in there. He put a rider in there that basically gave sacred land, Oak Flat in Arizona, that belonged to the Apaches. It's sacred because that's where their women go, where their girls go to become women. They have a sunrise ceremony there. It had for thousands of years. Well, John McCain stuck this rider in there, and it gave the right to an Australian mining company to come in there and dig one of the largest mines that there is. And right now they're fighting it right now. It's kind of like at a stop, but they just got done doing it. They're starting an EPA assessment, as they call it. You know, we'll give the approval.
I think I saw a video maybe a month or so back about some Native American Indians literally chasing McCain off their land and all the way to the airport until he got on the airplane. It was awesome.
Right. Well, the people that are fighting it, you can find them under Apache Stronghold. They're the ones. The guy that's been, kind of like the voice of it. He's the former head guy of them. He was their chief. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just a small issue with the native. I mean, in this country is the water. I mean, you got to look at everything else. I mean, our youth in some places, in New Mexico and Arizona, girls, 12% higher than the national average taking their lives. We have epidemics up north in the Alaskan country in the far north, where kids are, 2 or 3 kids a week are taking their lives.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's because life's so bleak. I mean, if you grew up on the Pine Ridge Reservation, your outlook, if you don't get out of there some way, your outlook is that you will hopefully survive to your 24. You won't take your life by then. And then you've got another, if you're a guy, you've got another 21 years to your dead. And women, it's 10 more years. Men live to about 45, women to about 55. That's on Pine Ridge. 80-90% alcoholism, 80-90% unemployment. Yeah, it's...
Okay, I want to ask you a question. I am capable of doing this. Can you explain to everybody what actually happened a while back on Pine Ridge when there was a standoff between the natives there and the U.S. government?
Well, today is, is April 5th. So it is still going on. We have over a month of 1973 at Wounded Knee. And what it was is that at the time, Dickie Wilson, who was the so-called president, he was more of an apple, which if you don't understand, that means, red on the outside, white on the inside. And, his puppet government and the people we call the goons, guardians of the Oglala Nation. And the elders just basically got tired of all the intimidation and violence and, just the way things did, the way Dickie was running things. And the elders, 2 of them mainly, the grandmothers of Wounded Knee 73. And you just look that up, grandmothers of Wounded Knee, and you'll find them. Well, they basically told these guys, go back to Minnesota if you're not going to do nothing. Get the heck out of the way. We're warriors. We'll do it. So they said, yeah, okay, take over Pine Ridge. It was the elders who stopped it. After Buddy Lamar was killed, come May 8th, they really, everything was done on May 8th. They all surrendered him on May 8th. And it wasn't that AIM or anybody else had anything to say about it. The elders, the Lakota elders, the Oglala elders said, today we end it, after Buddy Lamar. He was killed, in a shootout with Leonard Peltier. Right? Am I right? I'm not sure. Let me see here. But yeah, there's another travesty. Okay, we got Obama. He's pardoning everybody and his brother. Okay. I mean, what? He just did another 20-something, did 40-something before that. These pardons, and then he's going to have dinner. He's going to have lunch with them. And it was like, but he won't pardon Leonard Peltier.
Well, exactly why did Leonard end up in prison, and why are they so afraid of releasing him?
They look
Tell
at
us
him
the story.
It's not so much about them afraid to release him. It's more about, look, if anybody else wants to do anything like 73, look at this guy. That's what it's all about. That's the only reason they hold the man.
Well, I want you to tell people exactly what
everybody else.
What did he do in 73?
75.
75. What did he do?
Yeah, it was a couple years after that. You had Anna Mae Pequot. She was murdered in 75. Leonard went to prison. Which that whole case is all messed up. I mean, he was co-defendant with the other two, and at that trial, instead of trying in absentia with them, because he was listed as co-defendant, they were acquitted. So by the law right there, he should have been acquitted. But they didn't. The government did all kind of underhanded stuff and had a separate trial for him, all white, and put him away. And the FBI has been vigorous these 40-plus years now of keeping it up, because Bill Clinton was supposed to let him go. But at the last minute, the FBI showed up with full pictures of these guys after they were killed.
So Leonard Peltier Leonard Peltier is accused of killing who?
He's accused of killing 2 FBI agents in 1975.
Now, was that during the Pine Ridge episode?
No, that ended May. That went from February 27th to May 8th, 1973.
Okay, so
Leonard and a couple other things going on, they went on afterwards. Because you got to figure, at the end of Wounded Knee in May 8th, Dickie Wilson and his goons released what is known as the Reign of Terror. And I can't quote the Lakota name for it, but they call it the Reign of Terror. During a 3-year period after Wounded Knee 73, Pine Ridge had the highest murder per capita in the United States. Over 150-some people were murdered within a 2.5, maybe a little more years. Never investigated. The FBI, the United States, I mean, there's even tapes on YouTube of Nixon saying, yeah, go in and get them. So, yeah, and they send military on us, which is against the United States Constitution. That you can't send your own troops against your own people. Comatose, something, I can't remember what the name of it is. It's part of the Constitution.
So there was a fight.
Oh, yeah, the March 26th and March 27th, the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, the goons with their military-supplied weapons, they outright tried to kill them on March 26th and 27th. It was a severe firefight. And they started really talking. And like I said, now we're still a month away from, and let's see, a week before they surrendered, Nixon had given the okay for the next week for the military to go in and take them. And it's on tape on YouTube from the Nixon library. So, they were a week away from basically being murdered. But they ended up surrendering because the elders came to them and said, hey, it's done. We're surrendering today. No more killings.
What is really amazing is that you listen to your elders. You respect your elders. That's not something that's really taught anymore.
That's the way we're raised. I'm fortunate today. It's a shame, but our language, our customs, our ceremonies, the 7th generation, as Black Elk spoke of, is finally coming around, the young ones. They're trying to keep their traditions, but it's pretty hard when you have no future. If you can't get into a college, and that's not really that easy, you get scholarships. Indians don't get scholarships. So, it's a very hard life if you live on the reservation. But it's gotten better because the young generation is starting to speak up. People like Frank Wan from Rosebud, which is right next door to, is part of the 9 districts of what was the Great Sioux Nation. Frank Wan's from there. You have Natani Means. Russell Means' son is out there. There are some others out there that are young ones, and they're speaking up, and they're standing up, and they're becoming important. You look at people like Tara Hauska. Tara Hauska was the first Native advisor I've ever heard of on a presidential campaign, and that was for Bernie Sanders. And then, of course, Hillary had to have one, but all she really did was put out what her statement was on the American Indians. And the Indians are divided right now when it comes to Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. But if they're smart, he won't vote for Hillary. And I won't get into that one. We'll get off topic. But yeah, Leonard Peltier needs to be free. He's 71 years old. He's held in a maximum security prison, which under the federal system is unheard of, because he's a model prisoner. And within the federal system, you start out at the level 5, which is max, and then you move on down as the years go by to where you're in a minimum security place. They've held Leonard in maximum security his entire, well, he's over 40 years now. He's been in a max facility. I mean, he's been attacked once down in Louisville. Just these guys wanted notoriety, I guess. Oh, we smacked Leonard Peltier around for whatever reason. So, I mean, it's a hard life for him. Very hard life. But as he says, he'd do it all again if it brought some kind of attention to what actually was going on. And that's why we're around. You know, American Indians, that's what we started out as, and we became indigenous because we cover the world, not only ourselves. So, I mean, it's going on all over the world. I mean, you look in South America, they're wiping out whole tribes to get a hold of their land. Brazil just looks the other way. While ranchers and miners and timber people just come in and murder them and take their land.
That's going on. The government is illegal.
Bernardo Garcia, the big activist woman down there. She was just murdered. She was assassinated. And then a week later, her second in command was. So at least we're not doing that. They do it. They kill Indians in America backhandedly. They don't let America know what they're doing.
Yeah, like poisoning your water.
They do it all the time. Water's bad all over.
Now, the people that are on the yellow dirt, are they able to move anywhere else, or are they still there?
The Navajo. It's the Navajo. The mines are part of their land now. They, you know, that's what was done to them. They have nowhere else. This is what they have left. Okay, this is where they were told to go. Hey, this is your land. Stay here. And that's all they've known for generation after generations. You know. So, so I mean, you know, the feds armed the goon squads with weapons and automatic weapons to kill their own people. It's basic simple. Then they started sending people like our brother, Leonard, to prison. Tribal government was very much part of it at that time. You know, Dickie Wilson and his people.
When you're in maximum prison, does that limit how often you can see your family, calls and all of that kind of stuff?
They got him, they have him 2,000 miles away from home. Turtle Mountain, you know, they have him 2,000 miles away from home. So that makes it very hard for his family to see him. Like I said, they have him in a maximum facility, and as long as he's been there, he should be in a medium facility where he can get better medical, because right now he has an abdominal aneurysm. You know, he's got diabetes and some other things wrong. But, you know, the prison system itself, both state and federal, doesn't have very good health care. But the higher up in the level of the prison, the less health care you have. So a max 5 is like the last round for medical. So he needs to be down where he can get medical. But they've kept him in max this whole time. It's never been, it's something they don't do in the federal prison system. As long as he's been there, he would have worked his way down year after year, down to medium. But they have him in max. You know, maxes are set to be more locked down. They do a lot of training in max facility prison. So that's another thing you have to go through. So then they may not cook for the day. You know, being a diabetic, you're not getting the right food. But it's enough is enough. 40 years for whatever you want to say he did or didn't do. I don't care. Okay? My point is, it's enough. We're into the 41st year right now. This is enough of this craziness. Obama was releasing all these people. And we hit him, hey, every Friday on Twitter account, every Friday, every half hour, he's getting a text, a tweet from us. And then only that, but the people that end up retweeting that tweet. So we know he's getting hey, every half hour this one place keeps, you know, are you going to be a coward or, you know, oh yeah, we get in his face. We haven't had the CIA or anybody else knock on our doors, so. But
well,
yeah,
in maximum
we do this
prison,
every Friday. So it's like he doesn't know. We know. What's that?
Is he allowed to speak out at all, or again they've got him totally locked down?
Well, it's not locked down now.
Is he allowed to do any radio shows?
Oh no. No, he's not allowed to speak.
And not often, and he doesn't see his family often because
he has
2,000
taken
miles
chances
away.
at times, I'll say, and spoke on the phone, which is like 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's been reported on the other side. Okay? But, you know, 15-minute shots. So they haven't given him a chance. And being in a max facility, like I said, things are much tougher. Things are much more regiment, you know. So, I mean, and he's endured this for over 40 years. I mean, I have nothing but admiration for him, you know.
Is there anybody?
Because, see, the fact is, he could have said to hell with it all and lied, basically, and said, okay, yeah, I'm sorry for whatever happened, blah, 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 blah. And they'd have let him out years ago, okay? But he's not going to admit to something he didn't do. It was a firefight. Exactly that. It was a firefight. And the FBI sent in 2 flunkies who ended up getting themselves killed, but the FBI was right there on the way. You know, a sniper killed the one guy during the so-called Leonard killing the Asians. There was another Indian that was killed at the same time. Did you ever hear about him? He was killed by an FBI sniper. So the FBI was already waiting in the wings when those 2 FBI agents rolled up. And they were nothing more than a patsy. The FBI knew it, and they sent him in there anyhow. Suppose they're looking for a dude with a pair of boots. And, you know, jump out of the vehicle and start opening fire. Hey, folks on the other side felt, well, can't let them kill us. So whatever happened, happened. It's all that years ago, 40-plus years ago. It's time to let it go. It's time to let Anime rest because Anime, her killers are in prison now, too. So let it all rest. You know, let him go home and die at home. What last few years he's got left, let him go back to his people. But that's not the American way. When it comes to an Indian.
Blue Thunder, who can people write to help get Leonard released?
Well, on Twitter, hit it up at POTUS, all capital letters, President of the United States. That's his personal Twitter account. He has a personal Facebook account. You know, you can look Leonard Peltier info on a Google search. You know, the International Leonard Peltier Defense Committee, that's the official. I see a lot of petitions out there, a lot of pages that has no connection with the ILPDC. And it all does is it takes away from Leonard because everybody's, you know, got petitions. Like there's a White House petition right now to let him go. All right. The ILPDC has nothing to do with it. It was done once before in Obama. You can actually look it up. You know, Obama refused to make comment on the petition. So it was done. That was 2015 or 13, something like that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. You know, we talked about the poverty, you know, that's on the reservation.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to go on, Blue Thunder, we're going to go on a break, probably, I don't know, a minute or so. And, you know, we will talk about that after we get back from break. Can they also write to Leonard while he's in prison?
Oh, yeah, I'll give you the address when we come back. If you want to write to Leonard, I'll give you the address.
That would be lovely.
Okay.
And maybe other people would like to, too. Can we do that over the air?
Yeah, sure. I can do it over the air for you. I'll give you a little break here, and I'll wait.
Okay. Well, we've got 1 minute, so you can give me that. What's his address?
Oh, I have to get it for you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then you can get that on
I
free.
got it here at my fingertips. You just give me a second.
But while you were talking, now I'm in Hawaii and I've got this wonderful ocean view. And
Yeah, I know. Please don't tell me. I don't want to know. I'm surrounded by land at this moment.
a whale went by.
Okay, here's Leonard's address. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Leonard Peltier.
Uh-huh.
Number 89637-132.
Uh-huh.
USP, capital letters.
Is this
United States Prison. United States Prison. USP.
Uh-huh.
Coleman. COLEMAN 1. USP Coleman 1.
Okay.
And that's PO Box 1033, Coleman, Florida.
Coleman what?
Coleman, Florida.
Okay.
Zip code is 33521.
Okay. Do that again?
33521. That's the zip code.
521. If I don't hear you, it's only because there's been a glitch. That's why I asked you to repeat it. Okay, sweet. So that's
so yeah, you can send cards. You can send cards. You can send letters. Send it. You want to send him a few bucks, you can send that through a postal money order.
Oh, sweet. When we go on break,
that's the U.S. postage money order.
Okay, be quiet while we go on break for about 6 minutes, okay? We'll be right back, everybody. Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Cathy Bilsky, the Quantum Leap Let Light Unite show on Revolution Radio, the second hour, and April 5th, 2016. Now, Revolution Radio is listener-sponsored. Nobody gets paid for doing this, and it's all volunteer, so we really, really appreciate any donations that you send our way. And all you have to do is go to their website, and they have a donation button. Hit the button. Even a cup of Starbucks coffee adds up. And you really get to hear some incredible programs like you definitely don't get on mainstream, like Blue Thunder. And, we had Elliot Adams come in and talk about what life is like in Palestine. I know you're still there. So we really appreciate, all the donations. And actually, if you want to know more about me, you can go to my website at www.angellightome.com. I've got my curse removal there, a couple books on spirituality and working with love and the angels and violet flame and the elemental kingdom. And you can also go to YouTube, where I've got a lot of my shows there, and I've got the curse removal if you need of an energy shift, and also, the soul retrievals are there. The easier I can make it for you to go forward, then, we're going to go into that quantum leap. And talk about quantum leap, please go to the Enlightenment website at Enlightenment Movement 2016 at shutterfly.com and join. Let's amplify it. Let's create enlightenment, world enlightenment this year. Together we can do anything. Blue Thunder, thank you for not leaving.
Hey, I wouldn't leave you. That's another thing that's different about us. Indians, males, traditional males. Most of us come from matriarchal societies, so we treat women good.
God, you got a brother?
No. I got a few close friends, but I got a brother.
All right. Well, if they're just as nice as you, then you might want to give them my number. Anyway, so we were just talking about Leonard Peltier and, him being in prison and, some of the really negative stuff that has happened to you guys. Talk a little bit more about reservation poverty.
Well, it's the highest in the country. You figure that the three poorest places in the United States are three Indian reservations. Okay, Rosebud, Pine Ridge, and Cheyenne River. Crow's right there, Crow Creek.
What states are they in? People don't know people listen from all over the country. So
what is left of the Great Sioux Nation, which was a treaty that was done in 1851 when all the chiefs were there with their sacred items. And then the second one in 1868 where not all were there. They were supposed to have this huge reservation which covered 4 states and a piece of a fifth. Half of North and South Dakota, but they got broke down to basically 9 little districts, and 3 of them are the poorest places in America, and the rest of them fall within the top 10. So this has gone on for decades, Cathy. It's nothing new here in the United States.
Okay, I have to ask you, who's the voice in the background? She sounds lovely. You want to introduce us?
That's my wife, Terry. Well, yeah, in my language, which is my love. Or if I was saying it to you, it means much, much love.
Aww.
But that's her name, which means my love.
Oh, you're a good coach.
Well, he forgets what I remember. What I forget, he remembers.
Well, you guys work well together. So, do you want to talk about?
She's a Celtic pagan. Celtic pagan. So.
Yeah, neither one of us demand the other one believes what the other believes.
And it doesn't matter because you make it work.
Exactly. Well, and because we're not Christianized.
And the fact she's white and I'm Indian.
I'm so white I glow in the dark.
Sorry. Well, you make a good pair. But like I like to say, there's a lot of indigenous souls stuck in white bodies.
Of course. Yes, I've been here more than once.
And then you were talking about the apples, okay? So that if I ever hang around any Indians and they call me an apple, I will know what they're talking about. But I'm not one of those.
Yeah, see, well, that would kind of be a good thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
To call you an apple.
Really?
That would be a compliment.
That would be a compliment because it would mean you were white on the outside, but your heart was really red.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to work on that one. All right. Okay, I like that.
Because the other way around, it's the opposite. See, when you say it of a native, it means they're red on the outside like an apple, but they're white on the inside.
Yeah.
They're run by the government.
Got it. So let me ask you guys.
About the poverty there. It's run by the councils. I mean, you got to figure Pine Ridge. This is Pine Ridge now, okay? South Dakota. They are the second poorest place in the United States. There is no, the one above them is next door and the one below them is next door.
Yeah.
All 3 reservations. And, it's crazy. It has those 3 places have some of the highest youth suicides, domestic violence. Domestic violence. And then, like I said, because they fall under federal, okay, the assistant U.S. attorney for that district may be 100 miles away, just one way. So he figures, no, I'm not going to drive for the Indians. And that comes to the rape of the Native women. 1 in 3 Native women will be raped sometime in their lifetime. And Most of the time, it's non-native. 87% or better non-native.
And because you're a woman, you understand how there's the victim blaming when it comes to rape. A lot of them don't come forward.
Oh, I can understand why.
Well, here's the thing. On an Indian reservation, when it comes to a woman, the only thing a tribal court can do is under domestic. Mm-hmm. Okay? Any violent rape, they have no say. It's all federal. You hear what I'm saying? It's nowhere else like that in the United States, but it is on a reservation.
There's only 3 reservations that can prosecute that, and they're in Wisconsin.
And they're a pilot program. They've been a pilot program for over a year. But otherwise, only on a reservation, the tribal courts can only deal with local domestic disturbance cases. Any non-native come in there and attack a woman, it all falls under federal. How you like that?
What are the odds of that person also getting off and, not even, just getting off when they go? How often does that white person?
They don't get prosecuted. They don't get prosecuted. You have, they say upwards of 4,000 women gone missing and murdered over a 30-year period up in Canada. We have probably twice that many here in this country, in the United States. Women, especially in the oil fields like the Balkans in North Dakota, a lot of women went missing there and are still going missing.
Now, when you say a lot of women go missing, is it all ages? Are they young, they old, young girls, what?
All ages. All ages and indigenous. Native American, American Indian, First Nations, whatever you want to say, the Native women have been disappearing for decades. Started ever since colonization. I mean, Christopher Columbus talks about taking women. So, and we give this guy a holiday. So, yeah, it's a bad, Obama's been good. Don't get me wrong. For American Indian, Obama's been good. Because the fact is, he was the first president in history, to convene all tribal heads to him. No other president's ever done it in the United States. And they've done it every year since, from the first year he was in office. And last year, he brought the youth in. He had a private meeting with 2 representatives from every single nation, all 567 of them. And he met with these young. They started Indigenous Acts of Michelle Obama. Because they went to the Rosebud and they met with like 5 or 6 of the kids. And they actually walked out crying. These kids told them the truth. No president had ever did that. None. The last good president we had was Nixon, believe it or not.
How do you feel about the Pope wanting to canonize, the California missionary that literally, destroyed the Native Americans there?
They did that. They didn't care what the indigenous of the world said. They did it anyhow. He's canonized. He's now a saint.
What is his name? Do you remember?
Oh, Saint Sierra.
Yeah, he was really nasty, and so they make him a saint. And he destroyed the Indian nations single-handedly with his policies.
Junipero Serra.
And he's rewarded. Now, to me, that says a lot about the Catholic Church.
Well, no, here's the thing. Now, I'm a full blood. Okay, I'm not part. My great grandmother wasn't one, and all that kind of stuff. I'm real. So these kind of guys, my grandmother. Okay, bless her heart. She became Catholic because that's what they were forced into. Even the Aunsie that we help on Pine Ridge, she's Christian because the girls were made to be ashamed of who they were in Native, and the boys were beaten. My grandfather's back looked like a slave, a black slave, where they had caned him. They would lock him in closets, give him bread and water. And I got to know this man the first few years of my life. So it was, and that's who I became, because they gave me his name, you know. Because my whole name is Nanapa Witwood, Aonsin Pethakhon, which means he who stands there is he who tells the truth, who goes by the name Blue Thunder. And I'm proud to be an American Indian, not Native American. You gave me the name American Indian, so leave me alone.
Well, okay. So I lost my question.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I lost my question.
You lost your question. Like I said, you give me, I'll talk your head off.
I know. It'll come back, I'm sure.
Because I have all in my head. You know, we were talking earlier about poverty on the reservation.
Right. Is anybody at all keeping track of the Native American women that are actually disappearing? And would you also say that children and even men are disappearing? I mean, you know, let's...
Well, it's like even in Canada, the known women that are missing, they're saying upwards of 4,000 now. If you go back far enough, there's a lot of similarities. So they're saying near 4,000. Well, in that case, then in Canada alone, there's over that much of men or more. Men have definitely met more ends to violence, more of a murder than a missing, where the women have just vanished, you know. I mean, like, you know, Vancouver. The city of Vancouver, its government, its police department allowed a serial killer to clear the place up. He spent 20 years. He was a millionaire pig farmer. And he would take them to the farm. And they would never come back. They got him in prison now for like 6 murders, but it's known he was upwards in the 40s. Because there were 69 women that disappeared over a 20-year period in Vancouver, Canada. And this guy was the guy that took the majority of it. But the police department and the government of Vancouver allowed it to go on. To clear the streets.
Makes you wonder if they're also... It makes you wonder if anything had to do with any kind of satanic ritual.
Well, you got to understand, you know, Canada is really not a country. Not all of Canada is treaty. Okay? In other words, there's a lot of tribes up there that have land, even in the cities, that they're basically just been overtaken. But by law, there's never been no treaties. I mean, it's like California. California has 13 unratified treaties with American Indians. No, I'm sorry, 18. 18 treaties with California tribes that have never been approved through Congress yet. And that's been decades. So, yeah, it's a bad situation in this country. I mean, you don't see us on your TVs nightly. You don't see us on your news. You don't read us in your newspapers. See us in your magazines. Hear us on your radio. Except maybe now. We're like the lost. It's because America cannot face up to its genocide. So they made these stereotypical Indians that you saw in Hollywood movies, you know, the buckskin and headdress. Okay? But there's 567 federally recognized tribes in the United States, and every single one is different. But we've all been put into the stereotypical mode, and we see it in our sports teams, we see it in our fashion, where, yeah, it's okay, wear our sacred objects like our headdresses and, you know, mock them and those kind of things. And that's allowed. Now, you would not let them try to do blackface coming down the runway. Okay? Do you know what? I don't have to ask you. You probably already know what would happen if they would do that.
Yeah, a few people would be pretty upset.
Oh, yeah. There'd be an outrage. Absolute outrage.
But I have to say,
here's the difference. Go ahead.
I went to Australia and I hung around the Aborigines for a while, and that's why I went there. And, you know, when you're talking about the boys being beaten and, the girls being raped and disappearing. This is exactly what happened to the Aborigines that were in the missionary schools. And, they even went so far, huh?
You have it on both sides.
Yeah. I mean, they went so far as say, okay, the girls, we're going to teach you how to do girl things, like how to be maids, how to sew, how to make beds, how to do laundry. And the boys were trained
They had to get on their knees, on their bunk, and put their hands together and say their prayers. They were not allowed to speak their language. The first thing that went was your hair. It was the first thing they would take when you came in. Like me, I have braids down in my waist. Okay? So, just a little less, I guess. Yeah, about down in my waist. That was the first thing they would take. My grandfather told me a story. They were coming to get him. Now, here's the thing. His parents had no say. They were coming to take him to the school. If they refused, they would go to jail, and he would still end up in school. So he did it all peacefully. But when he got there, he refused to speak their language. He refused to believe in their God, and he paid for it dearly. They damn near killed him. Finally, around 16 years old, they let him go. And even to the day he died at 95 years old. He spoke broken English. If you wanted to have a good conversation with him, you had to know Lenape, which is our tongue, and you had to go to Uncle Ralph to translate. That wasn't until I learned to speak to him myself. I know my language. I know my customs. I know my ceremonies. I mean, our major ceremony, the big house ceremony, hasn't been done since 1924, which was the year that America gave United States citizenship to their American Indians. 1924. Thing was, it was to take away the sovereignty of the nations. They were no longer individual nations, but they were now U.S. citizens. And under the Bureau of Indian Affairs, reservations are listed as POW camps, not reservations. That's just a good word for the public.
Wow.
They're listed as prison of war camps. I mean, Pine Ridge is 334. And that's listed under the BIA today. Under their internal records, that's what reservations are listed at. So that's why they're able to get away with violating the Constitution, because the Constitution says that laws with Native nations or treaties with Native nations are law under Constitution. But hell, all you gotta do is look at your Declaration of Independence. They call us merciless Indian savages. Right in the Declaration of Independence. And it's still there today. That phrase, merciless Indian savages. It's in your Declaration of Independence in this country. So we didn't have a good start from the beginning.
Oh God, no, not at all. What
did you know that? Oh, Cathy, did you know that?
What?
That's what they call it.
From the no, I didn't.
No, within the Declaration of Independence, merciless Indian savages.
Those guys weren't very brilliant. I'm sorry. They were slave owners, and that worked well for them. So they weren't very enlightened beings. And what I wanted to ask you I was asked for your website. So if people want to get a hold of you, if they want more information, give me.
Oh, yeah. If you want to see what we post, okay, you can go to our social network, which is free to join. I don't know if everything will be approved, Cathy. Anyhow,
well,
but
so
yeah,
far
that's
they haven't slapped my hand.
Well, no, I think there's two women that run that. One is named Sasheen Littlefeather Tadon. She was named after the real one. She's not the famous one, but she was named after that. Her last name was Tadon. And then there's the woman in England. Another pagan in England. She's a school teacher. She's the other woman that runs it. So whatever they say goes, okay? Us men don't argue with them.
Oh, I like this already. Well, they haven't slapped my hand
a
yet.
traditional
so
Native? Oh, honey, you don't know. Traditional Native, we treat women very good. My wife will tell you that. She'll tell you it took her almost 40 years to find it.
Well, maybe we might do a show around that one day. So stop being a tease. Okay, let's get back to.
Go ahead. There was other topics. I had given you some topics.
Well, that's just what I'm looking at. I want to know a little bit more about the rosebuds.
Well, Rosebud, that's it's just another reservation. You got to figure you have Rosebud, Pine Ridge, which has the most natives. They're over 85% Oglala on Pine Ridge. The rest are a makeup of Indian and white. They actually own land within inside Pine Ridge. It's really crazy. But it's the way BIA allowed it to happen, was, people to buy land. Like the crazy stuff going on right now, some guy wants $3.1 million for a piece of land at Wounded Knee, the sacred site where they dumped everybody. And it's worth $7,000. Then you get some real Indian, trying to be the broker for this kind of crazy money. What could do $3.1 million do for the people of Pine Ridge?
Tell them about, Auntie, and how she has to pay people to take her 3 times a week, 50 miles to get her
dialysis.
dialysis.
Yeah, the council doesn't provide anything, see? And you have all these reservations across the United States, and especially now we have a big problem with disenrollment. The Coyote learned a new trick. These tribes that are getting casinos are dumping their members so the higher echelon can have more money in their pocket.
What do you mean dumping their? What do you mean dumping their members?
They're disenrolling their members. They're removing members from rolls in large numbers. We have the one that started it all, which is a 303. 303 members were, and family that goes back all the way to the time of treaties, okay? They dumped them all. Revenge. It's the way the councils are working, okay? They were put there by white. They were trained by white. Sorry to put it that way, but that's true.
Well, it's good to be clear, but so you're saying that the American Indians themselves do not get to choose who the people are that sit on the council.
No. Well, they vote. You got to understand. Like I said, nearly 40,000 Oglala. The last election, only 300 voted. And the guy they voted in, it's like his 6th term, but not straight. You know what I mean? Over years, he's been the president. From what I understand, he comes from Cheyenne River. Well, anyhow, this guy was indicted once by the council and the people and taken out of office. Well, he got an all-white jury to put him back in. Now he's reelected again. So just this last year, they gave themselves for a 2-year period, just for travel expenses, now mind you, a place that is the second poorest in America, they gave themselves $1.6 million for travel expenses. Huh. And this is kind of corruption that goes on within the councils of the American Indian reservations, and the United States backs it up.
I can see how, it's frustrating as hell.
Like I said, they use the poverty and fear thing. Okay, it's already poor, and then you're going to give them a little bit of money. You're not going to give them much, just a little bit. Then if they stand up, you're going to take it back from them. And this isn't just Pine Ridge. This goes through all the Indian reservations in the United States, especially the casino ones. The casino ones are so corrupt. It's all because they get in bed with white people. I'm serious. Those are the people who are the developers and the builders. So and the United States has overseen all of it for over 100 years through the BIA, which is part of the Interior Department. It used to be part of the War Department. Now it's part of the Interior.
Well, Well, don't you look at it as they're looking at it as just another way to tear you all and separate everybody even more, which is a very common tactic with these people? Divide and separate.
Pine Ridge and the other reservations have one thing that the United States has made them pay for forever. And that is because they were the leading force, Lakota were, of taking Custer down. And they have paid for it ever since. That's why they're the poorest in the United States. That's why everything's so shitty. We have a scandal going on right now with the Indian Health Services. And they did a surprise inspection and most everyone failed, which we knew that's going to happen. Women die in bathrooms with babies coming out of them. I mean, those kind of crazy shit that goes on. And that's how bad health, because see, we don't follow in our Obamacare. All right? You got to understand that. If you're a card carrying American Indian, your health care falls under Indian Health Services, IHS. Okay? And it's pretty shitty on the res. Excuse my French. So yeah, these places exist across America. And people, you got to figure 85% of school curricula in the United States, 85%, do not mention natives past 1890, which was Wounded Knee, when the remnants of the Southern Cavalry murdered over 200 people and then threw them into a mass grave. Okay? So, and then gave the guys who did it 21 medals of honor. Were awarded to those that murdered these people. Yeah, they gave them the United States Medal of Honor.
But then again, that just tells you exactly where the government stands. And again, it's like the Pope giving, the missionary, making him a saint when he's murdered all these Indians.
Well, it's been the policy, every policy of the United States has been to exterminate. And you got to figure the first treaty signed within the United States was done by the Continental Congress. It was done with the Lenape in Pennsylvania. Okay? Their job was to go to Fort Pitt, which would become Pittsburgh. They were to go to Fort Pitt, and they were to get rid of the British. By whatever means necessary, get rid of them. And they did. They were promised their own state, along with the allies they had under them, the Shawnees and the Mohawks. But that never happened. So they broke the first treaty ever, and they've been breaking them. They broke every single one after. So, and with different policies, the Dawes Act, relocation, in the 50s where they took people off, it was voluntary. It made them look like voluntary, but it wasn't. Put them in cities, they put them in big cities like Los Angeles and New York, the big cities of the United States. And they basically drifted to one side of the city, and they became ghettos, Indian ghettos. There's a great movie.
You certainly don't hear about that.
It's called the what's a Native movie? The Outsiders or something like that. But it's about a group of young natives that have been dropped off in Los Angeles. So it's all these policies, and it continues. It's gotten better, I guess, in a way because of Obama, but it's still, when every winter you got to worry about how many elders are going to die in a given winter across all 9 districts. Okay? You're going to get at least one elder who's going to freeze to death because they don't have the money to get propane or electric, which gives them their heat and cooking. So, and we try to do what little we can. I mean, we raised, I think it was $5,700 this year. And it goes through a GoFund. It goes straight to her, to Unsee, Myrna, and Porcupine. And she takes the money and she pays the propane bills and the electric bills. Keep heat on. When that should be their own council doing this. But see, they don't. They actually keep the elder building shut down because the council passed a resolution that says unless the elders meet in the government building that's given for them, then nothing they say goes. So they keep it locked up so the elders can't have meetings.
I'm surprised those councilmen are alive, that they actually stay alive. I'm
look at all of them. I mean, Navajo has been like, if you look at the Navajo, or the Dene as they say, you can go back decades and you can see where their leaders have been corrupt for a decade. I mean, been indicted. Okay? So, I mean, it's really gotten bad, especially with casinos. You know, and here's a wild thing. Everybody knows Pocahontas. You know Pocahontas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, her people finally got recognition by the government that they're a real Indian tribe. They were the 567th federally recognized tribe. And it just happened. Okay? Took all these years to finally the government said, yeah, you're really Pocahontas people.
Well, the government is not set up for...
There you go. I just said the word Pocahontas. Everybody knows the story of Pocahontas because we've seen the Disney movie and all other things. But the fact is, this was rape. This is probably a 12-year-old girl at the time. I'm thinking about the right time of her age. And this guy's in his 30s. You know, not the guy she ended up being forced to marry, but the other guy. So, I mean, and that's how Hollywood has done with us. I mean, the latest thing, Harry Potter woman, you know, J.K. Rowling, she decides she's going to do magic in America. So she takes beliefs of American Indians, the Navajo in particular, when she talks about the skinwalkers, which to them is absolutely real and part of what they believe, and she's trying to turn it into, you know, fantasy magic.
Can you explain? Can you explain what a skinwalker is, please?
Let me see here. Just give me a moment. You know, if she came to the Navajo, see, we made a big stink about it. When she first announced this book was coming, if you saw the website, the Harry Potter site, originally it was a native, stereotypical native in loincloth and headband, standing on top of a rock and turns into an eagle. Well, after we made a big stink and hit her hard on Twitter, she turns around and changes the cover, and now it's an eagle. So it's, let me see if I can say this right. Ye na dalosi. I think that's about right. Is the Navajo. You know, that's Navajo. So, you know, they can turn into an animal or disguise themselves an animal. So, and it's, you know, it's a witch. Is what the best way I can put it. But yeah, she took this sacred belief, and along with some other stuff, but took a sacred belief that the Navajo have, and try to turn it into fantasy magic. Not real. We're real people. We are. American Indians are still alive in this country. 85% of your schools do not even teach about us past 1890, which was Wounded Knee. I think only 25% of 25% of them don't even mention a tribe. So, you know, you get to Thanksgiving, which is a bunch of crap. That ain't the truth. You know.
Now, when you're saying that
Thanksgiving after they got them through the winter, showed them how to plant in the spring, you know, got them through the winter, got them started in the spring. Then they had a feast. Well, all the braves, 90 of them, were put in chains and put on boats and shipped to England. Okay? That's the true story of Thanksgiving.
This is the rest of the story.
The story that's not taught in your schools. It's not shown on your TV.
So they showed up for Thanksgiving dinner, and their reward was chains and a boat trip to England.
Well, you know the truth of Thanksgiving, don't you? Every time they would massacre a village, they would have a Thanksgiving dinner. And President Washington stepped in and made a day specifically, said, hey, we're in a war right now, Revolutionary War. We can't be having a celebration every day you wipe out a village.
It wasn't made an official holiday.
It wasn't made until Lincoln. officially. But he was the first one. So, I mean, and it still goes on today. This is a thing, Kathy. This is 2016. And it's still the same policies it was in the 1800s. And then you got the border towns. You just had a Navajo killed on Easter. A woman, she had a pair of scissors in her hand. This guy shot her 5 times.
Now we're talking police officer.
Police kill more natives per capita than any race in this country. But do you hear about it on your national media?
No, not at all.
That's right, you don't. We hold 3 of the top 5 classes of being murdered by police, but you never hear about it. Or the fact that our youth are killing themselves at 10 to 15% above national average. You don't hear about it.
Alan Locke.
You know, I could name these people off and off and off and off. Like the one girl complained that she was hurting. They said, "Oh, you're just a drunk Indian. You're faking. Be quiet." She ended up dying in her cell. Alan Locke, who the day after he went to an anti-police brutality, was shot dead at his place by the police. No charges.
While holding a smudging stick.
Yeah. Mahavist, like I said, he was shot 7 times. The final shot was to the back of his head. 2 sheriffs, Custer County Sheriff's deputies were given various awards, Medal of Honors, whatever you want to call them, and awards. And the one dude wasn't even involved. He cut his hand real bad. So he wasn't even there at the time. The main guy, like I said, shot him 7 times, the last one to the back of his head. He executed him.
And that was a double whammy because he was not only just an Indian, he was mentally ill.
Yeah, that's another thing. Police, police aren't trained to deal with mentally ill people. So, but this is, like I said, we are killed more in this country than any other race in this country by police. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like I said, we just had Lorene. Lorene was killed by the police.
Now, let me ask you something. On the reservation, do you have your own police force there?
Of course.
So when you say it's also, does that add, killed by police, killed by, your own police force?
Oh yeah, there's been no doubt that's been involved. Yeah. You got to think, like I said, back in 1973, we wanted to need Dickie Wilson and his goons. They were armed by the FBI and the United States military. They had a Phantom jet on call. They had freaking, a Delta kind of force waiting to lift off. It was war.
Armored personnel carriers.
They had 17 armored personnel carriers waiting down below the church, where these folks are still at. If we go back to 1973, we still have over 30 days of this. Snipers killing people, FBI snipers, U.S. Marshal snipers, killing whatever Indian they could. They said all those murders afterwards. The murders afterwards. Yeah, so like I said, it's a sad affair in this country. America will not admit to its genocide. They complain about everybody else's genocides, but they never admit to their own. And we have the largest genocide in the world history. You got to figure near 100 million indigenous folks between the Americas and Canada were murdered in one way or the other. They try to blame it all on diseases, but you can't put it all on diseases. So near 100
who brought in the
70 to 100 million. The Jews, 12 million. Same thing for blacks and slaves. It's about the same with them as the Jews. So we have the largest genocide in the world's history, but you don't see the world commemorating ours. You see America do it. Oh, sure, we'll give you a month in the United States under a presidential proclamation. How about November? And Thanksgiving is your Native American Day. How's that for a slap in the face? So, but an Indian sees this stuff, where non-natives don't see it because they don't see us. I said, you don't see us on your TVs. I can turn your TV on and see all kind of races, but you won't see an American Indian. And the only one you see is something about Kimmy, which actually has two native people in it, Bill Gillingham and I can't remember the woman's name. They play the parents of a girl that's white. Okay, how do you do that? You're Indian and she's white. I'm disguised as a white person. That's a bit of the joke, and it's on national TV. But when you had Mike and Molly and her mother all the time would talk about how natives are nothing but drunk and lazy. So we're stereotypicalized. You know, now you have baseball season, I believe, going on. You have the Indians, the Cleveland Indians. The racist mascot they have there. I mean, you put it next to a Sambo and it looks just like it. But you're not going to allow that. You're not going to allow people to do blackface. Why allow them to do red? But it's allowed. But nobody does anything. We try to complain, and we're getting more now answered because we're of the net. You know, this became the new moccasin telegraph, to paraphrase. Look at us. We're reaching over 200,000 a day.
That's awesome.
Because we've become a page that, we're not like an individual page. We're a community. Every follower is a brother and sister of the community. That's the way we look at it. But we've got some big names that follow us. We have Wes Studi, we have Tattoo Cardinal, we have Irene Bedard, these major actors that are native. So we have most of the big time music that's going on in the Indian country. They follow us. People like Dresses and Superman and, so we have quality people that follow us. We have tribes, we have chiefs, that follow us. So I already said Wes. Wes Studi, he pays attention to us. He likes and retweets something at least every day. So we've reached an audience that's, what we wanted to do. And we've done it. Like I said, we have 4 or 5 other pages. We're on VMO. We have videos on VMO. RPTV, Indigenous, RPTV, which is Red Power TV. So yeah, you can find on VMO. Indigenous, RPTV. So we've gotten around. We've got, like I said, we got a woman in England, another woman that's out of Anadarkoa, Oklahoma. Kyle Apache, they run the social network. But unlike Facebook, we've got so much it'll blow your mind.
Yeah, you also mentioned that you mentioned that you were censored on Facebook quite a bit.
We're not even there. They took our page from us. That's simple. We haven't been on it for a long time.
I consider it blowback because what it forced you to do is create your own page and look at all the people now you're talking to and growing.
Well, we have almost 700 on the new, I think it's just over a year, the social network. But unlike Facebook, you can put instead of a regular picture, go ahead and put a GIF up. And you won't have to push a button to make it work. You put a GIF on AmericanIndiansandFriends.com and it'll be a GIF. And the pictures are full size. They're not cropped. So yeah, we have a very good page. Like I said, we have movies, we have full albums, documentaries, the natives who have won the Medal of Honor. We have, Lori Patesh, which was the first woman who died in combat. So yeah, we have many tabs up on top and there's a lot of stuff. Unlike Facebook. And it's totally free. So, and nothing's mine. We don't sell your information and all other crap. It's ours. It's our domain. We don't release any of our followers' names.
That's really nice. Yeah, I've gone on the website and posted myself, as you said, and it really is. I like it. The pictures are really nice, and you talk about a lot of Native issues, and we're going to bring you on next week, and we're going to talk about not tonight because we're going to save it for next week. Okay, how fracking has affected, the Native Americans. But we're going to hold that for next week, okay?
Yeah. Break the rock up and kill us all, right?
Huh?
I said break the rock up and kill us all because you blew our water systems. No.
Well, that's
okay.
fracking.
Well, like I said, I can talk. So I mean, there's a lot of issues going on in any country, in America, throughout the world. The indigenous are having a hell of a time. I mean, they're being murdered in the South for their land. Free Leonard Peltier, Obama. Hey, it's time, man. Let the man go home to his people.
And if you want to write to Leonard,
hey, you got the address.
I've got the address, and if you don't mind, I'll read it off again. You write to number 89637-132. U.S. as in Sam, P as in Paul, Coleman 1, P.O. Box 1033, Coleman, Florida 33521.
That's it.
And then you could also send them a donation.
Hey, you're my guest. I'm not going to tell you no. But it's got to be through a U.S. postal money order. That's the only thing. Yeah. It has to be United States postal money order. So that's the Fed's requirement.
Yeah, they like to make it very,
Yeah, they make it real hard.
Buy it from them. And again, if you just want to write to him, I'm sure he'd be welcome. Welcomes letters.
Let him know he ain't forgotten after all these years.
That would be a nice thing to do, everybody.
Let's get him a mailbag delivered to a cell door. How about that?
That would be sweet. Again, I think we've got about 3 minutes left. Give the website out again so people can connect with you guys.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at American Indian 8, and we're also our own social network, American Indians and Friends.com. So that's where you can find this out. From there, you can find our other sites. But you're not going to get fluff on our pages.
No,
we tell the truth and we put it in your face.
Well, but that's
some white folks don't like it at times.
Well, then they won't look at your site, will they?
No, but we say this: we are not anti-white. We are anti-white supremacy. There's a difference.
What's the difference to you? Describe the difference.
What's that?
Well, you're talking about white supremacy.
Oh, well, it's not against whites as a race, but it's against the white supremacy colonization mentality that has gone on for hundreds of years. Over 500 years.
Myself. I'll join you in on that one.
Look where you live. You're in Hawaii.
Yep.
Which was invaded by the United States Marines and made a state.
Yep.
That wasn't right. But hey, they got away with it.
Well, they've gotten away with a lot. And, it seems like the United States is constantly going to war, constantly taking over somebody's land. And it's just all unaccountable. I mean, when you've got the military budget as 3/4 almost of what, our budget is, that's a little excessive.
Yeah. And in the United States, your infrastructure is going to pot. Your bridges, your roads, your infrastructure, because you're investing all this money in war. Well, you've got to figure since the Revolutionary War, I think we haven't been at war for 10. So, I mean, over 240 some years, we've been in a war. You know, it's all it is war. We can't keep living this way. We can't. You know,
No,
we
we
just
can't.
Well, it's showing what's happening. People are starting to stand up. You know, the Lakota, they got on their horses and rode, said, no, we got rid of the Keystone XL. Now you want to put this Dakota Access Pipeline, the DAPO. You know.
It's the same thing, just with a different name, isn't it?
What's that?
It's the same thing. They just named it something different, right?
Yep, that's all it is. I mean, how can how much more can you know, smack the Lakota in their face by carving 4 presidents' faces on your sacred mountain, on the Black Hills? Hey, we'll just carve 4 white guys on here. How's that for you?
Oh my God. Well, next week we're going to bring you back on and we're going to continue this, you know, because you're really giving us a great perspective. I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and thank you, Blue Thunder, for coming on.
Hey, thank you for listening.
Aloha.